The house had been abandoned for years, nestled at the edge of a forgotten town where whispers of its history were enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. But when a group of curious friends decided to venture inside, they unknowingly disturbed a dark force that had lain dormant for decades. The house had once belonged to a family who had mysteriously disappeared, their deaths tied to a malevolent presence that had inhabited their home for generations. One by one, as the group explored the crumbling rooms, strange things began to happen. Doors creaked open on their own, cold drafts swept through the halls, and a persistent feeling of being watched settled over them like a heavy fog. It wasn't long before they realized that they were not alone. In the attic, they discovered an old, dust-covered book journal of sorts, written by a man who had once lived in the house, detailing his experiences with an entity he called the Exorcist. The journal spoke of an ancient spirit, an entity that was not merely a ghost, but something far more terrifying, a malevolent force that had the power to possess, control, and twist the minds of those it encountered. The Exorcist, it seemed, was no mere haunting. It was an ancient curse, a demon that thrived on fear and suffering. As the night wore on, the group began to experience strange, nightmarish visions and seen forces gripping their minds, filling them with terror. The walls seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy, and shadows moved of their own accord, twisting into grotesque forms. Desperate to escape, they tried to leave, but the house seemed to resist their every move. The front door would not open, windows shattered into black voids, and the floor beneath them began to shake as if the house itself was alive. Suddenly, a loud, echoing voice reverberated through the house, a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. It was cold, sinister, and filled with an ancient malice. "You should never have come here," it whispered. "For now, you belong to me." One of the group, Sarah, felt a strange pull towards the basement. Without warning, she descended into the darkness, drawn by an irresistible force. The others, horrified and desperate, tried to stop her, but it was as if she was no longer in control of her body. Down in the basement, Sarah found a dark altar, an old blood-stained symbol etched into the stone floor. The moment she stepped onto it, a violent surge of energy shot through her body. Her eyes turned black, her voice changed, and she spoke in a language no one could understand. The friends tried to flee, but the house seemed to warp around them, the walls closing in, the ceiling lowering with every step they took. In the distance, they could hear Sarah's voice, twisted, mocking, and filled with laughter. They had to save her, but with every attempt, the Exorcist grew stronger, feeding on their fear, manipulating their minds, and driving them to madness. By dawn, only one friend remained. The others had either fallen victim to the Exorcist's power, or worse, become part of the house's dark history. The final friend, trembling and broken, stumbled outside, the house vanishing behind him as if it had never been there at all. But he knew the truth. The Exorcist was still out there, lurking, waiting for its next victim. And he, too, would never be free.